that we had right now. Everything is smooth sailing, and we're finally going to Champ Select.
Yes, we are, Krepo. Let's get into it. So, Grias, first ban out from G2 immediately. They were hyped to put that ban down, and Vitality going to take all the time that they want to lock in their first ban. We'll see what's going to be. Going to be Nidalee aimed at Trick. Take that one away off the table.
If you are unfamiliar with Trick somehow and you're casually tuning in because of the time zone shift, Trick is a really strong kind of farm jungler that can outpace with champions like Nidalee. He was very similar to Spirit in that regard. Spirit is Fnatic's jungler. And yeah, they just usually did a great job of kind of outpacing in terms of farm and then going for the individual duels or just winning to sheer farm advantage and vision. Obviously, that's taken off the board, so we're looking at more utility junglers right now. Rek'Sai and Elise, but even with Elise off the table right now, jungle is actually surprisingly pinched. This may prompt a bit of a pivot for G2. Are they going to pick up Rek'Sai here and have Vitality? Got an answer ready to that, you know, because usually we only see kind of Elise, Gragas, Rek'Sai, and maybe an Nidalee.
Big clamp down on these junglers. Trundle as the next ban as well. Taking that one away from the top and support role. Flex Jax as a final ban against Cabochard, taking that carry away from him. And looking towards the final ban from Vitality. Will they aim again at the jungle? Take Rek'Sai away, and then we're down into B-tier junglers. Yeah. We'll see.
Lee Sin is obviously still available, and Shook at that famous perfect game. Snarjin. Both junglers can play Lee Sin too, it's just that it just doesn't fit as well, you know, as some of the utility junglers in the current meta.
Gangplank as the final ban from Vitality. All right, so first pick, where are the priorities going to lie for
G2? Looking at this Fiora with some of the stronger dueling picks like Jax and Trundle off the board, Fiora obviously goes up. She had an incredibly good score over when she was played in week 8 of the LCS. I think
first day,
on the
5-0.
Yeah, 5-0 she went. So highly impactful, and I think G2 may be looking to do the same thing. I think the only thing they're considering is here is, do we get the Rek'Sai? Maybe leave it open Fiora, and if they steal it away, try and play maybe like Gnar into it. Something that can keep the distance. Looks like they're...
okay, wow, swap up to Shen. So not even taking the Fiora or considering the Rek'Sai. Both of those on the table now for Vitality. And Shen going into the top lane for Expect, most likely.
Yeah, I think that's actually a fine choice. Like thematically against a team that plays strongly around the top side but has weaker teamwork. I think picking a champion like Shen that can kind of hold its own is good in a lot of melee matchups that Cabochard likes playing, and is easy to just kind of play defensive down 10 CS, 20 CS, but then impact the map with ulti. I think thematically that makes sense as well from G2, who have a large history of playing with low economy top laners.
Okay. That's the choice for them then. And Vitality, they have the pick of the litter now. I mean, Rek'Sai's still on the table for them if they want that. Top lane, I mean, they don't need to pick that anymore now that Shen has been locked in. And locking in potentially the bot lane, Karma could go mid lane as well, but Ashe also picked up for Police. Again, putting him on a utility ADC. Yeah. I'd like to see it.
Utility AD carries are quite strong in the current meta. This is usually still where we see Sivir Karma come out as a rotation, leaving up Sivir, especially...
because Olaf's still open
into the Ashe too, you know, very easy to dodge some of the volleys in lane. You can dodge the arrow. Quite surprised that they actually went Ashe over Sivir here. Very low mobility carry, and Vitality not always as careful, quite prone to getting caught off guard.
Yeah. I mean, I was expecting Olaf to be a contested pick here, as it's very often banned against both of these two teams. I mean, there's players who can play it on both sides, and when Civ is open and Karma's open and like a typical composition set up for them, just a little surprised to see that not on the table just yet, but still, we're only on our second rotation, now on our third, as G2 are looking to pick up their next two champions.
Oh, I mean, I actually forgot about
Malzahar. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how we forgot about that one, with that being basically blind pick worthy in every situation.
Yeah, very often is its first pick on blue side. This is not the super nerf Malzahar, guys. We're still on 6-14 here. Quite a strong mage overall, just really aggressive, has control over pushing the lane. Champion music just went out, maybe not on stream, but at least here it did. And the whole reason why maybe that Malzahar was delayed so long is because Nukeduck's looking for a counter pick in mid. Didn't want to yield that for the additional presence that a Malzahar has. We saw yesterday in the IMT TSM series that a Zilean actually plays quite well into it. Yeah. And we know for a fact that Nukeduck can play that Zilean. And Vitality just wanted to have more comfort picks on their bot lane to make sure that they stay in the game, because they're playing against Zven and Mithy, which is a super strong lane, and Ashe Karma is super safe in the 2v2 aspect, should be able to lane against almost anything.
What do you mean it was a music drop? We were just building anticipation for the drop coming into Champions League. It was just part of the song. It was a feature, guys. Don't worry about it. Hecarim also picked up alongside that Malzahar. We're going to go right into the Olaf and the Tahm Kench. Crowd's hyped for the music. And we're hyped for the Taric coming out alongside the Sivir coming in for G2.
Yeah, this is basically everybody and their mom diving into the enemy team from G2, and then Zven having to kind of survive in the back line.
Who's the mom, is it?
Mithy, of course.
Oh, okay.
Pink Taric is mommy.
All right, I got it. I mean, they got Daddy as well on the opposite side.
They got Daddy Chance there. But yeah, a very strong dive comp here with the Shen Hecarim front line. That's what we saw TSM play yesterday too. Kind of sped up by the mobility from Sivir. And then, especially after the fight starts very brutally and kind of very in an instant, you can follow up with the Taric ultimate, and if you can time that well. So we need to look at Mithy, how well he's practiced that Taric, because it can be make or break here in a lot of these team fights.
And Tahm Kench as well for KaSing. Trying to protect the Ashe. They're thinking about the Lulu. They haven't locked it in just yet, so I'm going to talk about it. There's a Fiora. All right, that's going to be locked in as the final pick for Cabochard into the top lane. Interesting.
Tahm Kench support here, trying to just have that Devour ready. Tahm Kench is notorious of doing well into a lot of melee support matchups, so the Karma was flexed to the mid lane to then get a good melee support matchup with the Tahm Kench. Maybe Nukeduck just likes playing Karma into the Malzahar. Has access to great push control, wave control. Can mantle W trade to a lot of the harass too. And has speed ups to kind of catch his low mobility Malzahar if the jungler show up. You'll see a Shook and Nukeduck kind of surprise people with some speed ups here and a Mantra Snare. PerkZ may find himself caught off guard in the lane.
Responsibility. I am also interested in that bot lane matchup, so I'll probably pick your brain as we get into game, because of course Tahm Kench with that 200 range into Taric should usually outrange melee matchups, but when we talk to the likes of Hecarim and people in interviews, a lot of supports like Taric into other melee matchups. So we'll see how that one works out. But there you can see the coaches shaking hands ahead of the game before we get into this one. Will be our first matchup of the day here, Krepo.
Yep. Which means we stall out a little bit, and then we start talking about hashtags.
Yes, we will. We'll be stalling just a second. There we go. There we have the full compositions and the hashtags. Hashtag G2 win, hashtag VIT win. Jump on Twitter, use those hashtags. Show your support for the teams. We'll see how much support Vitality gets, because if you're a betting man, you'd probably put it onto G2.
But we don't believe in betting.
No, we don't. Not here in League of Legends. But we are just waiting. Speculation. That's what we believe in.
That's what we believe in.
Yeah. We are just waiting a second. We're just pausing real quick, make sure everything is okay with the teams.
Yeah, just a quick double check here, and that gives us time to talk about some of these matchups. The reason Tahm Kench usually does well into a lot of melee matchups is just he has a very easy time getting the triple stacks off, and then he kind of controls that trade. You know, he can use Devour as the AD carry. Also, a lot of melee supports interact in very kind of short bursts. Like, think of a Leona that wants to dive in on the AD carry, you know, 2 spells on a stun. You have a Taric that approaches, maybe wants to stun the AD carry. Most of, like, melee support's kits get countered by Devour, because you can just eat up your AD carry, walk him out, reset him, spit him out, and then you can win the trade on the back end, because it's quite hard to run away from a Tahm Kench. Also, if both melees run into each other, Tahm Kench has a lot of threat on an enemy AD carry too, you know, if he gets close and he plays with exhaust too, because he can really just isolate enemy carry too. But I don't think it'll happen too much there. It'll be quite easy for people to just AFK range farm. Like, there is very little interaction these days. There's always still the threat of teleport, etc. So usually these matchups, like, well, in theory they can have a lot of action. The fact that Taric's stun resets the aggro on one side, Devour resets it on the other side, results in a farm lane.
Yeah, you expect the aggressive spells to create aggression, but in reality it does the opposite. I think in general you can like spread that across the board as well. A lot of mid laners are low interaction. Top lane, ironically, is the lane where you sometimes have more interaction with carries coming back, and even like the likes of Shen, for example, early game, do a lot of damage. Like, you can punish people pretty hard with that pick. So it's actually the lane where it's all swapped up. But again, we're just jumping back into the lobby, guys, so it'll be a couple more minutes.
Jumping into a new lobby, hopefully getting everything fixed right now. If you see my face in clear anguish and despair, it's because I'm having flashbacks. It's like, no.
What, to the 8-hour game?
No more 8 hours, please.
You thought you had escaped it by coming to the cast desk? You're wrong,
You're
Krepo.
wrong. You get chained.
It will haunt you.
You don't even get to play. At least we got to play a couple of games in all that time. Those were the greater days. We had access to the internet then, and we could like do karaoke, go on Spotify,
Right. Yeah.
listen to some good old Nickelback. You know, the usual.
The usual. I mean, what do the players have access to? I think they have Paint. I think that's something that's on the computers.
Yeah, and there's like Bob Acree, like the standard Windows Media Player song.
Okay. And that's what they have that forever. We're just double checking here.
Stuff this PC has trying to
Because that would drive a person insane. All you have is Paint. So you get the artistic representation of what the player is thinking currently, and you get that as a visual in Paint, as they are slowly driven insane by Windows Media Player.
Yeah, great. You could bribe the audio guy to play you a nice tune in your ears. That's what we did. We basically talked to the empty voice in our head, called him Bob, assuming he was there on the line. I was like, yo, Bob, play us a song. Play us a tune.
The song of your people. What would, if you had the choice of one song, you're in that situation right now with the players, what would you choose?
One song to play for like the 10-minute span?
Exactly. You would also impact your team. You only get one song, right?
Was it Epic Saxophone Guy?
Okay. On loop? Yeah,
on loop,
okay. I can
10 hours. I'll listen to that. That's a good hype song for a match of League of Legends.
Yeah.
Guys, we just loaded the champs. Like, we're redoing the draft right now. Same picks, same bands, obviously, because there's no reason to redo it.
Exactly.
Hopefully getting into the game as soon as you can.
There was no contact between the teams, because point of first contact is where the players will actually see each other, and after that point, then there is a potential for a remake. But because we just loaded it into the game and no one saw each other, then we're just going to pick the same picks.
They were chained in the base. Yeah, that's right, guys.
Yeah, what up?
You guys love pauses as much as I do? Yeah.
We love some pauses. Now I'm trying to think of really good loop songs, because if you were stuck in a scenario for 8 hours, you always, there's videos on YouTube where they go up to 10 hours. You have 10-hour loops of things. What really works?
Epic Sax Guy.
Epic Sax Guy is good.
You got the girl swinging the leek. Whatever, is it a leek?
It is a leek, yeah.
It's a vegetable, right?
It is.
Great.
It is a vegetable. That's the one.
That's the one.
Oh, what else?
Caramel Dancing. You know Caramel Dancing?
Yes, that's also a solid one. That's a good 10-hour loop. You're not an anime watcher, but there's a Yuki song from the Future Diary anime.
Oh, yeah.
By Nikki.
Yeah, no, great song.
Yeah, really good. Definitely would not pick that one for 10 hours, gotta be honest. I did make it 3 hours in just to see how long I could last, and Yuki was the only thing I could say for the next week.
Very concrete, different approaches to what entertainment looks like.
Well, exactly, but you're not a weeaboo, and I am. So, I mean, that's how that one works.
I've always heard that term in a condescending manner.
I mean, it is. You don't really...
Is it actually an insult? I don't even know.
It is. I think if you call someone a weep, it's definitely an insult. But you can say it about yourself, and that's that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And other weebs can call each other weebs. It's like the ginger thing.
Only a ginger can call another ginger ginger.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a great song, by the way.
Definitely check it out.
If you're not familiar, Tim mentioned.
I would not put that one on repeat. Okay.
Loading it right now, but I see some people touch their keyboards.
Uh-oh.
Don't touch the keyboards. And they're talking to the ref.
Okay, so once again, we have the players jumping into the game, giving a radio cast. Of course, you guys can't see it, but we have the secret insight of not a whole lot extra, honestly. And we are seeing some reconnects, so...
Oh, that's great.
There's some positivity.
Back, guys. Keep your hopes up.
Hang on.
Anytime now. We can actually see some League of Legends.
What's the point where you see people visibly tilt? I mean, we've seen Zven before, but over time, we get to see it in slow motion now, because that was very
Oh, this is not going to tilt these players. Let's not forget, these players play in European solo queue. That is kind of the equivalent of when Goku travels to Namek. You start in 10 gravity, and as you go up and over time, it becomes 100 times gravity. This is still a couple of remakes. Pause on the stage. There's some air conditioning in the studio. Bunch of fans here. It's still early in the day. This is maximum 10 times gravity, So they still have a
I see.
quite a bit of tilting capacity left. If it goes into another base race or a Nexus at 20 HP, then maybe the tilt will come full circle.
I mean, there's a possibility. Vitality's in the game, right? So the players are just... the game is unpaused, and the players are jumping off the starting blocks, as it were. And we're hoping that we're going to get into game. All right, we're going to give it a shot, guys. Everyone wish us luck. Send us your energy as we head into game. It's going to be G2 versus Vitality for a first set in the arena here. Very important set for Vitality, very important week. If they drop one single game, they will be eliminated from playoffs. So
Yeah.
Good luck, Vitality.
And G2 Esports are looking for a clean 2-0, not only to solidify that first seed here in the LCS towards playoffs, but they also just want to keep performing here. A couple of wards come out. Look at the lane ward that Vitality have placed here. It's very important in a lot of these matchups to just have a bit of an idea of where the enemy bot lane is. And I wonder if Cabochard is going to take that matchup into the Shen with the Fiora. Shen notoriously strong into melee matchups early on, since he can deny these auto attacks.
Minions have spawned.
Yeah, and I mean, that matchup also gets into like a game of chicken. It's like, oh, when are you going to riposte? Oh, you riposte, I'm just going to wait, and then Shadow Dash through you. And also, like, if Cabochard tries to trade with you, Spirit's Refuge, it's very difficult to trade into Shen early, as you mentioned. Melee matchups, auto attackers in general. Looking at the masteries, anything interesting here?
All right, G2 seems to be in a good position for lane swap where they might not have to use their teleport early. Cabochard, he's not going for the standard run to lane and get 3 CS and then teleport down to the bottom, so he's just going to path over 2. So there will be no difference kind of in teleports used. However, G2 is cleaning out their jungle much better than Vitality is. Look at it. Mithy has taken control of 3 camps in the topside jungle, whereas KaSing is only now moving into the jungle here, and 1.5 camps have been taken away from G2, so that's a bit of an experience advantage here. And then Shook's actually going for an adaptation, so very slow lane swap because he's actually going back into his own jungle right here. This usually gets punished by a couple of wards. Look at the Shook, is like on half HP. If there's a trailing ward here and anybody randomly shows up, Shook just gets killed here. But he realizes that in order to keep the experience race somewhat equal, he has to go for kind of this risky maneuver.
We'll see if he gets punished. There's a possibility. Trick is heading into the jungle now, but he's now heading into his bottom jungle. So he just managed to get away with the camp, being at low HP, and then will manage to make his way out.
Obviously now Trick knows exactly what went on as well, because he spots the camp. And we have super standard lane swap here.
Yes, we do. And lane swap camp, so you
The
can see
last
what's happening on the side.
So we can start saying goodbye. You know, 6:15 obviously. Lane swaps are heavily disincentivized to the first tower, granting 400 gold. And a lot of potential changes coming down the line as well. So this is a bit of a sad, bittersweet goodbye, maybe.
That's true. Moment of silence for you, ladies and gentlemen. The end of lane swaps.
Always say you never know what you have until it's gone. Maybe you guys will miss this, like, drudgingly boring.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and this is coming from a great fan of lane swaps. Like, I feel like teams have kind of solved the recipe. And because there is no, how do you say, like, bilateral trade, I don't know the exact word for it, but at the end of phase 2 of a lane swap, you could either choose to go Dragon or Herald. And especially Herald had a great influence to then set up a Herald push out of which you could rotate. Right now, the end of phase 2 lane swap, you only end up around the Dragon. And if you're quick enough, you can do it, and if you're slow enough, they can come contest it, and that's it. And it's very mirrored, it's very symmetric, and honestly, a lot of the skill components have fallen off now that every team is so adept at executing the first stages, and there is very little room to pivot. That's why I think it's great that we're going back to a bit of a meta shake-up, see how teams react.
It only really seems like teams are falling behind the other when they screw up. And it's just like, oh, we didn't finish off the tower. Or there was like maybe a fun interaction every now and again to break up the mold, but it was never like, wow, man, they just really outplayed them in that lane swap.
Yeah, you only go, like, you can go for a hard cheese where you don't swap lanes and you wait in a rush somewhere, like maybe, and the only time teams really mess up is if they do really poor level 1 jungle starts. But right now, we even saw Shook kind of adapt out of the poor jungle start. Going to the second phase here. Since both teleports are still available, this is usually where the teams wait for the minions to tank. You know, obviously with the longer channel of teleport, it's actually a lane swap buff.
By 1 second. Blocks a whole extra tower shot maybe, but yeah, very, very slight. But in general, massive nerf to TP. We've actually seen a lot in recent games where, like, we're saying, man, that was actually a really late TP, but it was exactly when they would have TP'd earlier, but a full 1 second in a team fight is a huge difference. It matters between life and death in most cases.
Yeah, definitely. Also really hard for a lot of supports to kind of, because they're the one guarding the teleports, you know, have to launch the skill shot, you know, at the incoming top laner, but you always miscount it because the animation didn't get changed. It loops on an extra second and it throws me off every single time. I haven't predicted a single teleport with any skill shots ever since the change. That's maybe just because I'm bad.
I've seen it a bunch as well in professional play. Like, you get this built into you in terms of muscle memory, and that happens all the time.
Yeah, you don't actually go for the seconds, you just go on the field. Right now we see G2, they say, know what? That Ocean Dragon here in the bottom of the map, we don't want that. We want to immediately swap and just keep putting pressure on the enemy Fiora. They could have traded farm time on that Fiora 4, some pressure on the Ocean Drake, but they elected not to because the tempo on both sides was very similar. So we're going back into a trade. And look at it, you know, because Expect knows that he can't stay in this lane, he'll probably get run down. He's just going to base and run to top lane here, but now we see the first kind of change in approach. Cabochard is not running down to the bottom lane to join his squad on the push, and he may be at risk of getting dove here. Fiora obviously has a little bit of an answer with riposte, but if Shook is not near him, Cabochard will have a very hard time farming there in the top lane, because Tahm Kench is still in the bottom lane.
Shook's going to make his way up to the top lane, but there's a bunch of people camped out in this brush. He's going to take the long route, I think, so he may be safe if he places the ward over the side, but it's actually Cabochard who's under attack. He does manage to make it out of the lunge, and Shook heads into the top lane as well for the tower defense. Big minion wave, and Expect is also heading up.
Yeah, but Vitality can soak some experience here. This is where G2 need to pull the trigger, otherwise Tahm Kench is coming in with Devour, so this is a net win here for Vitality because they pushed in one wave on one side of the map, and they're soaking and holding just ever so slightly on the other side of the map right now. Now both waves are bouncing back respectively.
And now Zven will get to go to the bot lane and clear that one out. Meanwhile, Shook just chases G2 out of his jungle, and that'll be the end of that one. Vitality with a slight advantage in terms of farm to start this one off, but nothing to write home about just yet.
Yeah, Vitality.
Wow, interesting.
Surprisingly large fan vote here for Vitality as opposed to G2. But they actually needed to make that play because they can't keep dividing the map and swapping and swapping and swapping, because that will actually starve Cabochard on that Fiora. And while Shen is utility, low econ, a tank, you know, they're slightly less impacted by farm loss. But otherwise, Cabochard would still be sitting on like 10, 15 CS right now, and the swaps keep going on, and the additional gold he gets from the tower would not offset the losses he had. So we're desperate for a hold there, and G2 kind of failed to pull the trigger immediately. They gave a lot of time for KaSing and Police to show up in that lane.
So I assumed that the mid lane matchup was actually pretty favored for Malzahar, just generally being a ridiculously strong pick right now. But he's significantly behind in farm, even as the minions equalize.
Yeah, Karma can just challenge the push. And Malzahar's push kind of snowballs. Like if Malefic Vision can keep jumping from one dead creep to another, obviously it's very easy for him to get sustain and mana. But if he has to use too many spells here, one to kind of counter trade whenever Karma walks up to him, he can't always make it bounce as easily. He's going to lose some CS. Like Karma always has really good threat in 1v1 trades because Mantra W and Mantra Q are just so efficient trading tools. The problem is Karma doesn't scale very well, especially when she goes in a Themes build on 2 items. If she doesn't get a minor lead, or you get a really good Mantra E off to speed up your entire team, you seem so useless.
What's your opinion actually on the more utility build mid lane? Because when I talk to Vedius, and he's very passionate that mid lane Karmas who go for this build just don't do any damage, and very often we see these champions also fall behind and then go for the build and just become a secondary support.
Karma's role is not damage, however, though. She's a utility mid laner that centers around like spiking on the 2 items, and then your team has to make something happen. If you then don't do anything, yeah, obviously you'll be useless. That's like playing Renekton and going for a late game team fight, and everyone's like, it's Renekton. Yeah, not very strong champ, by the way. But yeah, that's not, of course, the solution. Like, you need to play towards your power spikes, and this Karma, once she gets 1 or 2 items, needs to group with her team, get an AoE speed up, facilitate Shook going in, hopefully let Police connect an arrow. But it's going to be rough against this G2 lineup that also has a really strong spike in the mid game.
Yeah, also difficult to hit arrows on. I mean, PerkZ will have his passes, Zven has a spell shield, Expect you don't want to hit, Trick, maybe, Mithy, also support.
I mean, Nukeduck and Police both have great tools of getting that Malzahar passive proc, you know, Mantra's Q's coming out, you can have Volley, so an extended setup. Remember, you don't need to look at Arrow always as a pick-off tool that has to come out of Fog of War. You can really just siege. Again, you know, yes, I watched IMT against TSM because this is another example from that series, but they would just hold the Arrow as like a mid-fight tool. They would get some CC and use the zone from Arrow to kind of tell people like you can't walk into this fight, and if you do, you get CC layered here, so you can have an Axe Connect, maybe wait for a riposte, or a stun from Tahm Kench into an Arrow follow-up, you know, immediately one shot. So right. Zone from Arrow does a lot of good in team fights too, if you can start them without it.
Do you have a lot of those tools? First Dragon will go over to Vitality there, and that will be the Cloud Dragon. This is a new Cloud Dragon as well. So 25 movement speed.
I think I said ocean earlier, so it's a cloud break.
Maybe, I didn't even notice. So I'm sure someone out there noticed, but I did not. So
I just want to apologize because I lied to the viewers.
Ah, yes. Oh, I mean, like, you didn't... Is it a lie if you just
you mispresent too?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're lying.
Okay. I was trying to get you an out-of-jail-free card there, but didn't take it. I respect that.
Obviously, buff Taric here. If you can stack up a few of them, they can actually become quite influential. More so if you're on the escape, and it can mean the difference between kind of getting hunted down over time or just narrowly being out of range for the next skill shot. It throws people off, especially if there's like these long lanes where people want to run each other down. Right now, we're looking at Nukeduck actually getting aggressed on here by Trick.
Oh, Ghost comes out, and the flash as well from PerkZ. The AoE wombo combo onto Nukeduck. There's enough damage to take him out for first blood. PerkZ picks that one up.
I mean, Trick was coming at a full vision right there, and Nukeduck just not ready for that play. At no moment did he flash here. Despite Trick ulting in a very, very sloppy death here, very, very telegraphed. In fact, that yes, Hecarim and Malzahar, how are they going to kill you? Of course, you know, double CC you down. Very surprised that Nukeduck ended up falling there. And now this karma pick is behind, even on the one item spike.
And PerkZ also activated the Ghost first as well. It's just like, I wonder what he's doing. Is he going to go back to his tower? No, he's running at you to kill you. So Nukeduck still with both of his summoners, just dropped in the mid lane. Bot lane, however, Cabochard holding us 1-on-2. Will be able to defend the push, but very fast push, of course, coming out from Sivir. Most likely going to clear this wave and back away, especially with two members heading down to the bot lane as well. But we get to see that all over again. Pretty simple.
Yeah, let's see. Like, Trick approaches Nukeduck. It's actually surprisingly little he could have done. I think he could have flashed out towards his tower and he would have dodged the Malzahar silence. I think he would have likely lived. He just really didn't want to waste his flash and die at the same time. There's a surprisingly large amount of damage and more importantly, displacement. The fact that PerkZ locks you down and Hecarim comes in and the combined displacement of the fear into the knockback from E actually moves you an entire flash distance down into the lane.
Sure.
And negating the potential flash out here. Shook getting stunned up. He might have to ult out here.
Yeah. Well, Zven's not quite in range to actually get the full chase down, so he's okay for now. Doesn't have to pop the ult or the Ghost, so he's in a pretty good situation. But still, if you flash first in the mid lane, then Trick actually can't get behind you if he's already activated Onslaught of Shadows, and then maybe you get feared away from PerkZ and Trick instead of being feared into them.
Yeah, and we're having a very slow game here because the map is opened up immediately by this lane swap, which means there's very little rotations possible, you know, to pick off the kind of remains of tier 1 towers. Since they're all dead, one objective has been taken off the map here, and teams, well, two technically, Rift Herald taken down too, so there's not much reason for these teams to fight, barring any ganks. And for Vitality, the thing they're struggling with a little bit is side lane control. Because Sivir is much better at kind of solo clearing out side lane safely than an Ashe is. But they will generally be on the back foot. Expect now has good control over that top wave. Bot wave is pushed in here by G2 eSports as well. So and Mithy, the better roaming squad. So it does look like that Vitality always has to react here. Expect getting aggressed on, has to taunt flash out.
Oh,
coming in.
Ragnarok as well, plus the Ghost and a flash coming out from Cabochard. They're going to chase Expect down. He can't get away from this one. Another kill, this time over to Vitality.
Yeah, and that's a great job aggressing on the long lane again here, taking down that side lane. They can't aggress onto Mithy and Zven because they can simply run out. They have invulnerability, but Expect was kind of overextending without limited vision, and you just see that the flash is not enough against the Ghost, Olaf, and then the Fiora that can just chase you down, hunt you down. You're so far kind of behind enemy lines and you don't have the backup here. I really like to pick off on Vitality.
All those resources burned for it, but those will be back up in time. Look at all those boilings going to town on the red buff. Gonna take that one away. Actually goes over to Trick. And he'll head up into the top lane as well. G2 put the top lane up there now, and Trick will also take everything that Vitality own on the top side, but we can see that once more. Expect sees it, immediately pulls the trigger on to trying to get out of there, but Vitality just use all their resources.
Yeah, he just wants to push like one more wave, and his ward just isn't deep enough to try his warded, so he's technically just overextended, honestly. It's a little presumptuous to assume that you can push out this wave. More importantly, because you need to deduce, right? Whenever you're playing League of Legends, you need to look at the minimap and not see like, can I get ganked here, but just how probable is it that I will get ganked? And the way you figure that out is instead of looking at your probability, you kind of subtract the other probabilities from one. Like, so you look at how likely is that bot lane gets ganked. Well, these guys are miles apart from each other. There's great vision. Not really. How likely is it that mid lane gets ganked? You know, maybe 10% as well. No, they're very far apart. It's a wave clear matchup, wards on both sides. Like, we not spotted the jungler on one side. Great. So there's only like a 10% chance that mid lane gets ganked, 10% chance that bot lane gets ganked. You know what? There's now an 80% chance that I'm getting ganked in the top lane. That's where you need to piece out. So that's what a lot of people fail to do. They're trying to estimate by looking at their own position as opposed to just using information that's available on other lanes.
Right. I mean, you don't even need to go into mathematics either. You could have just stopped your statement at, when playing League of Legends, you need to look at the minimap.
Yeah.
And a lot of people
I think you need to make it less
even
abstract
do
than that, because people will just look and don't know what information they're looking for. You just always want to look at kind of what situations your allies find themselves in. Denied!
Denied.
Gobble,
Who
gobble.
said there was no denial in League of Legends? KaSing, bring it to him, get doted. But yeah, now Vitality will head into the jungle, take away all of these wards as well.
And this is why we see the tension picking up right here, because there was so little fighting, you know, open map, lane swap, but an objective has spawned. There is that Mountain Dragon available here, and both teams looking to contest that area, but Expect has been pushing out in the top lane.
Hello, gang squad. Trick coming in. Onslaught of Shadows will fear a couple members, but doesn't really get a good one onto anyone. In comes the sunglasses, and that will be the invulnerability coming down from Mithy, but...
Good concept, but horrible execution here. The Hecarim Taric proxy stun did not line up there. The Shen ulti was completely forced and too early. G2 could have just waited for that wave to push into the top lane and find a more opportunistic approach to that play, but it felt very forced here. I like the idea that they went for it. PerkZ has to be careful. Nice sidestep. Passive is popped though. That means now that Cabochard has lane priority in the top lane and he can fix it. Vitality is looking to get their side lanes under control, but Shook's going in. The Kench is coming there too with Global.
She's at Zven. He's going to run to Mithy, but there's no ultimate from him. Zven's going to go down. Now Mithy has to try and get out of there. Nukeduck's going to give up the chase. Nice little pick up from Vitality.
Yeah, really good use rather of that Abyssal Voyage from KaSing here, and then Nukeduck coming in there as well, and then the Manta and Q did just so much damage here, and this is G2 playing the map too greedily. They've just used their major ultimates, and they're still trying to kind of fix their side lanes, not respecting the mobility and kind of the roam potential that's on this Vitality squad.
Pretty nice actually coming from Vitality. We said coming into the game that we were expecting G2 just to go ham all over Vitality and for this to be a clean game, but it's not what we've seen in the first couple of minutes.
Yep, look at it, Abyssal Voyage coming in, Nukeduck was in the belly, and then just the one proc on Zven, he's super low. But this goes back to the play in the mid lane that G2 did. They seem to be trying a new composition here. You know, with the super heavy engage, a lot of synergy required between Shen and Hecarim, and they really need to kind of go on the frame perfect engage. Yesterday, we saw Svenskeren do a fantastic job on Hecarim, really showing the windows of not only engaging, but re-engaging in fights. And I think G2 kind of pulled the trigger a little bit. It happens very often in very slow games where teams have no action. When they then get access to like a moment where they could engage, they just go all out without reproach. And honestly over-pull the trigger.
Yeah, just gotta squeeze the trigger, you don't need to...
Yeah, you gotta exhale, stay calm. Have you ever shot Pulse?
I haven't, no. No. Have you?
I have actually, went to America, had a barbecue and then went to shoot some guns. It was fantastic. I only was good one, yeah. It had 5 rounds, I shot 4 and I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm satisfied. My shoulder hurts. Recoil is quite the hefty concept.
Well, now I understand why Jin only fires 4 shots.
Yep.
Just gets tired.
Just get tired, man. Just gotta need to reload.
Yeah, he's even got that shoulder body armor. I understand now. Getting some insight. Vitality pushing down the mid lane now. They have the arrow. They have Shook off to the side. Trick floating around. There should just be a tower over to Vitality, honestly.
PerkZ managed to dodge all these spells. He stepped through the volley 2 behind his tower, and his creeps means he could keep his passive, and then he can walk up. If PerkZ passive is down, he can't do that move because he will just instantly eat an arrow. So it's in the subtleties. Obviously now G2 have the backup. They have Shen ulti available too, so they're not as afraid of an arrow connecting. Tahm Kench also, they're suddenly in the bottom lane. Yep, they use the Abyssal Voyage for the wave clear rotations.
Okay, now the counter push in from G2. I was wrong. Vitality did not take that tower at all. Nukeduck looking for the defense. Here comes the arrow onto Trick as well. Shook coming in, KaSing off to the side. Retreating ultimate out from Trick. Cabochard looking to flank as well, but he's a little too late to the party.
Yeah, good peel here. G2 was seemingly looking for another hard engage because that's why they were so aggressively positioned. But then they started doubting. They weren't quite sure. Then the arrow hits and they have to use all their offensive tools kind of defensively. And now Vitality can set up with some poke here. Volley and Q spam from Karma. But let's not forget any combination here from PerkZ going in. You know, flash Q, ER with follow-up means immediate one-shot on most targets. See, that's why KaSing drafted this Tahm Kench as well, you know, once they have to devour against this Malzahar.
Indeed. Now Zven heading back into the mid lane here.
Super slow game, because again, open map here, teams are tentative, the engage is very pronounced, very obvious. Teams are respecting it on both sides, and the only action revolves around objectives. OG Vitality have taken 2, additional movement speed, and slightly better objective control in the future with that Mountain Dragon.
Yeah, and both teams will back off after that as well. They've bet a lot of their engage tools and pretty much everything that they can when these engages happen, and then we'll just see them wait for those cooldowns and look for it again potentially. Both those teams looking for that mid lane tower, but actually neither of them even getting it. Neither of them even went down. And the game is actually pretty even. Vitality with the slight advantage. Gotta keep in mind they have those 2 dragons, so those will pay dividends the later this game goes. And there's a good chance this game will go past 35 minutes. There's a good chance that we'll see Elder Dragon show its face. So Vitality already setting up for that one.
Yeah, it's once we get like 5 minutes later into this game, Baron baits are a significant threat. And then if G2 ever have Fog of War advantage, they can really hunt people down. You'll send in a Hecarim Shen combination with Taric in the middle of that fight. They made it could stick. Nukeduck right now is also on a 2-item spike. Karma won't get much stronger than this from team fight damage. Utility she will always bring. Right now she's hitting her damage spike.
Yeah, difficult to judge as well how G2 are doing. Holding that for a second as Shook will just have to pop the defensive ghost. But before we get into mid-game, see them make more proactive moves, it's difficult to say, oh man, G2 slumping right now.
But yeah, look at Shook there too, you know, kind of positioning in that tri-bush, and then at the first like kind of hint of a scuffle, he kind of immediately has to pop his ghost here because they're so afraid of the Shen ultimate coming in, making the fight uneven while Cabochard's teleport is down. It would actually be wise for G2 if they did their homework to kind of force a fight right now, because they can immediately get a 4v5 with hard engage.
Oh, Trick
what they're looking for.
It. Riposta's used by Cabochard, cancels the CC, but Expector's coming down as well to stand united. Cabochard, nice juke out of the way of that lunge there, and Police is there to back him up as well. He'll make it out alive.
Yeah, Cabochard wearing the right shoes today. Stepping out of that taunt, really important here. Now again, G2 have used all their gunpowder. I need to reload again. They've tried this hard engage a couple of times right now. One time in the mid lane, got caught in the bot lane. Now they're trying to pick off Cabochard, who did not have teleport himself available. But it needs to be combined into a greater start. I feel like these Shen Hecarim kind of engages. Hang on, PerkZ. Just be a little bit careful. It's cornered by KaSing. Arrow goes wide.
I mean, PerkZ basically just ran in a straight line.
This game's a bit of a...
Did a Gary the Snell impression and just made his way out.
Yep. A bit of a fiesta right now, if I'm being honest, this game. These Shen Hecarim engages, though, they need to play into a larger goal. They need to be a catalyst of a team fight, as opposed to be a failed pickoff. And I think that's what blocking G2 here. They don't have a follow-up. Like, if they can combine it with a Sivir, you know, with a Taric running in, then they can start a fight. But they'll just start the fight off with a damage advantage and have their frontline position well. But yeah, they're failing in the execution. Vitality's holding on strong. Very slow game here. Completely different in terms of pacing than what a lot of teams were expecting.
Yeah, I mean, both teams are looking to try and get these pickoffs, but just not quite finding it. They aren't using their resources, but either misfiring and just not hitting the mark. Like, PerkZ literally just walked in a straight line and made his way out. But now we have this dragon alive, the Mountain Dragon, so both teams are looking to contest it. This could be the first point in the game where we do see both of these two teams go in. Tricker's looking for the ultimate, lands onto KaSing and Nukeduck. TP coming down, 4.5 seconds is a long time, but they've found KaSing already. Expect comes down, and Vitality already trying to disengage. PerkZ looking for the zone here, and G2 will most likely secure this dragon, while Vitality look for the push down mid lane.
I mean, these teams are doing nothing except fighting around objectives, and then Vitality still gets surprised here. Taric ultimate went down. Cabochard's pretty low here.
He's starting to bleed out, but he does make his way away from Expect, who's trying to chase him down. So the one kill and the dragon This time over to G2, and the disengage as well from G2 as they now push down mid lane.
It was slight mispositioning on the side of KaSing though, because he is the one that has to defend against the Malzahar, but he doesn't have his own mini KaSing to save him, you know. Nobody saves supports. We're on our own. So he was slightly erroneously overextended. Devour's fantastic, but you can't eat yourself.
No, what the big downfall of Tahm Kench. There's no one to carry you. But yeah, so after all of that, game is even more even, if you can even say that.
You can imagine.
Yeah, because G2 have picked up that dragon, and now we get into another stalemate where both teams burn some resources. They were both fighting over an objective. Mid tower again is siege. Neither mid towers die. And both teams back away as they wait for their cooldowns and wait for something else to fight over.
And that's where we insert artificial excitement into the game, because it's not delivering itself.
Pushing minions!
Yeah. Start talking about all the things that even get us moderately excitement, like wards.
No, that's a dark road, Krepo. You don't want to. I mean, you don't want to go down the road. Ironic, because they actually are supposed to give vision, but on broadcast, people get too hyped.
Step away from the wards.
Step away.
Crowd will be nasty things.
Okay, good.
Great crowd. I like it.
Yeah. I respect that. Okay, taking away the crab as well. What are we looking in terms of item builds? I feel like nowadays we don't look at item builds as much as we used to, because there's not a lot of variation, honestly.
Yeah, very little variation. At the start of the kind of the major update, we saw a lot of shifts over, you know, with Rise becoming a lot better of an item, you know, really stat efficient. We're a bit surprised when people start picking it up, but right now most core builds are just, yeah, the standard for a lot of these champions here. There's a pivot in support builds though that we're seeing. Ruby side someone's back, you know, 20% down. Hang on.
Hello, Shook.
Goodbye, Shook.
In G2's territory.
Fighting over pink ward. I like it.
Turf war. Oh, he's coming back.
He's back.
He's out. He's back
again.
He's out. One hit at a time. Shook will take down this ward.
Yeah, but they regen, so...
Oh, well. Zven, nice spell shield. Good timing. Go back away, and looking for the counter-engage. Trick is coming in here with Expect on top of him, but a simple flash over the wall, and KaSing just peters out.
I mean, that means these teams are a little lost in the game, right? To do something as preposterous as trying to aim an arrow at the Sivir with spell shield and hoping he's snoozed enough to not block it. When looking at a player like Zven, I think that is honestly almost disrespecting on the side of Vitality. Then the immediate re-engage from G2 just gets flashed here, so both teams kind of failing in their approach.
I mean, the mind game doesn't work like that. You don't slow down the game to the point where it's like, maybe they're asleep now, and then you fire out the ultimate. It's just like, no, no. These players are still amped up on the coffee they drank before the game. 30 minutes in, 4 kills in total. Both teams trying these engages. Oh, G2 placing down a ward. Yeah,
placing down a ward here. They get access to Baron area after the push here. They go for, it's kind of the start bait. I think they were very much so aware that they would get stopped, but in the odd chance that Vitality wasn't checking immediately, remember, their jungler does not have flash here. So against an Olaf, you can start optimistic Barons, because it's very easy for you to predict whether he could actually come in smite range or not. And then you can time the burn down pretty efficiently.
Is this what you were expecting from G2 though, Krepo? We were saying coming into the game.
I think they're definitely practicing a new composition.
Okay.
They seem very much so disjointed. Their engages are super forced. They're not finding any flanks whatsoever. Like yesterday, again, you know, we saw Hecarim and Shen flank on the backline. There was very controlled in and out team fights. Right now, it feels like G2 only has 2 buttons, go and then full reset. There's no zone control. It's very forced. There's no threat of ultimates. There is just ultimates. Now see a bit of a duel in the bot lane here, but we hear on the hunt coming in.
Yeah, I mean, Cabochard was locked in that one-on-one. Now he's got an angry Zven chasing after him. He has to flash away. Meanwhile, Expect keeps all of his summoners. Yeah,
but that's Cabochard going aggressive for a duel while his mid laner is in base. And that's one of those examples where, yeah, oh, Sivir randomly shows up, Trick again, looking for KaSing.
Ultimate doesn't land on anyone, gets a knockback onto KaSing, but he goes at a weird angle. Police turns around with the ultimate, down comes the ult in from Mithy. Protects him for a bit more damage. PerkZ putting damage over the wall as well. KaSing eats up his ADC and waddles away. That'll be the end of that engage once again.
Was very close to dropping right there, KaSing, but the grey health at the end kicks in again, and you see G2, they have identified that the only target they can truly kill and chase down is this support on the enemy team. Need to find him down. They're going again for another Baron start here. Remember, Shook, no flash, has to manually walk over to the other side. And we are at 30 minutes of the game, so these Barons go down rather quickly.
Oh, here comes a TP. Abyssal Voyage is coming out as well, but the entirety of Vitality are completely split up. G2 going into this bottleneck, being chased down by Shook now. Trick is under attack. He's trying to get away. Meanwhile, Expect will re-engage. KaSing eats up Olaf. He'll back away. PerkZ is now under attack, but he's got Shen on top of him. He'll come into the fight. No one goes down.
What a wonky approach to that fight. I wonder why Vitality did simply not commit to chasing down PerkZ, who was in that brush. In a 4-1 pincer, you go to the 1, not the 4 here. Vitality, very bold move to go for that 4-man squad, leaving PerkZ untouched, and I feel like they lose the back on the trade. Good Shen ultimate in the end, though. Keep everybody safe on the side of G2 Esports. But yeah, this game is definitely not delivering here. Teams are slow, and almost seem very panicky in their Baron call.
Very important series, of course, as we've rehashed multiple times for Vitality, but I mean, G2, they just need 1, 2, and 0, and they've locked first place. They are testing something new, but we don't expect to see a game like this against Vitality of all teams. Either way, Shook, he's starting off this Mountain Dragon, the third one of the game. Trick is hovering around. He has his ultimate and he has Smite. As it drops low, here comes the TP as well. Out from Expect, he's coming down looking for a taunt. Trick's already in the middle of the team. He misses the taunt flash, and Trick jumps over the wall to get to safety. Police goes down. Expect finds the first kill. KaSing soon to follow. Shook and Nukeduck trying to get away. Meanwhile, Trick under attack from Cabochard. He'll find him and take him out in the 1-on-1 duel. Meanwhile, PerkZ jumps over the wall. Now he's between Shook and Cabochard with the lockdown from the ultimate. He finds that one, looks for the second. Dual kill in for Mithy. 4-in-1 trade. G2 come out ahead.
And now the hard engage was not only just part of a pick-off, but it was a catalyst to a greater team fight where G2 simply zerg and waltz over Vitality. Vitality didn't have the mobility to get out of that fight. They got run over, squashed. Mithy picks up a very manly double kill here. And now G2 is finally in control of the game. They can pick up another dragon here, and now the next Baron will be oh so quick, you know, with a Malzahar, 3-0-2, couple item spikes here, 2 Mountain Dragons. Vitality need to be afraid of the next Baron.
Gonna see that one once more. Vitality started off the dragon, but yeah, in GC this was just a fish in the barrel for them.
Look at how they clump up here. So it's very easy right now. Trick goes in, Shen goes with him, and then double proxy stun from Mithy here. Cabochard gets stunned, and Police, like, low mobility Ashe there. If it was a Sivir, maybe with a spell shield and mobility, he would survive a lot better there. If Vitality want to posture in situations like that, they need to send in Shook himself and accompany him with an arrow. Because if everybody's running backwards, you're just going to get run over because there's too much mobility on the side of Sivir with Taric stun proxy on Hecarim. Like, you're not quick enough like that. The karma mobility is lost because it doesn't matter if you're quick when everybody else is quicker.
And now G2 pull ahead with this extra dragon and that massively won team fight and the extra tower they managed to pick off it. They're ahead in gold, they're ahead in resources, they're ahead in terms of vision. And they're starting off the Baron with Vitality right around the corner, but they see Cabochard in the bot lane with no TP. He's going to have to walk up. Yeah, and Vitality, this would be 4 versus 5 if they want it. Baron dropping low, Shook looking for the steal. It's going to be secured by Trick, and Shook, he's got nowhere to run now. At least he's got KaSing to find him, but the snare down in from PerkZ finds both of them, and that will be 2 kills over to G2, looking to run down Nukeduck, who's running to the wrong side of the map. He's charged into the team from Hecarim. 3 kills to G2 and the Baron.
And that spells likely the end of the game here. You know, the setup was there for G2. They had full control of that fight. They would force at least 2 members into the Baron pit that had a very hard time escaping both KaSing and Shook, and even then it was a 50-50. G2, they win the Smite race and the ensuing fight, and they're now in complete control of this game. And they're going to pick up quite some towers here, resulting in quite a hefty Baron power play.
I mean, these towers are dying so fast. Double Mountain Dragon with Baron, they're like disintegrating in front of them, and with 10 seconds left on Shook, another 20 seconds on Nukeduck, nothing that Vitality can do to protect their inhibitor. PerkZ recalling in the face of Cabochard.
Yeah, this is where Vitality honestly roll over or get rolled over. You see a bit of an Abyssal Voyage here on a chase. They want PerkZ. Everybody left PerkZ behind here. This is a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, he's by himself. He's dead.
That's a pure mistake from G2. Not leaving together or PerkZ not basing in time. Very bold, disrespecting the Voyage. We have an arrow here.
Expecting the stop on the recall, but yeah, just a good snap decision by G2 to start while they saw Cabochard bot lane. Yeah,
it's a forced fight that I at least win, but still, you know, technically this is a 50-50 here. We have another fight in the mid lane here. Sivir ulti gets popped. Look at Cabochard, super low here.
Spent a lot of work. Didn't RNG onto Cabochard. Here comes the engage.
Oh,
Trick runs over Cabochard. Mithy looking to follow up as well. Trick right in the midst of Vitality. Police looking to bite the dust. Big shield coming out from Nukeduck. May indeed save him with KaSing coming out there to try and get the assist off, but Shook's low himself. Jump over from Expect. Finds him with the Twilight Assault. And KaSing waddling away, but he's locked in place.
And that is the composition finally working out for G2. The pain train at maximum efficiency with a pink Taric as the conductor, and it ties it all together with the proxy stunts. G2 clean up Vitality, clean up 2 Nexus towers, and they finally take down the Nexus for a 1-0, and that's it. Vitality out of playoff contention.
Yeah, honestly crushing. After the last 15 minutes, it was just G2 winning a fight, taking the advantage, going from objective to objective, knowing they were stronger, winning over and over again.
Yeah, very simple game, honestly.
Yeah,
both teams
pretty much
kind of committed to only fighting around objectives, and then I think it was the second or the third dragon that was kind of defended haphazardly by Vitality, where KaSing found himself picked off. And again, that's like the 6-minute setup all goes to naught if the support gets picked off that easily. G2 pick up that dragon. There were a couple of good fights. We felt like we were watching G2 learn about their composition throughout the game. For me, this felt more like a scrim. It's like, okay, how does this comp work? Okay, we need to set up. We send in Hecarim and Shen. And if they connect, we kind of get a kill. Okay, this failed the first time. Let's try it again on the pickoff. Okay, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
We need long lanes, guys. So just bait him in. Trick, go in. And then Mithy got increasingly better with his stunts too throughout the series. Because he got Cabochard once, Police in another fight too. Maybe his teammates were getting used to positioning for the Taric stunts, but G2 was very much learning in the game. But in the end, we saw the whole pain train, the Hecarim in, gets invulnerable, stun from Taric, follow it with Shen, taunt over the wall, stun from Taric onto Shen. The whole train aspect of this composition kind of came to fruition.
We got to see what happens when it works, basically. And I mean, no matter what happened through the first 20 minutes, they were just farming. And that means that a Sivir going to be soaking up those woes like a sponge. You've got jungle of Hecarim not being shut down. It's not a game where Hecarim goes first item Triforce, dies twice, jumps in, constantly dies. This is the Hecarim who's been farming for the 20 minutes and then just doesn't die and does a lot of damage.
That is one of Trick's strengths as a player, though. He always knows when to prioritize farm, or at least stay kind of farm relevant. A lot of players, when they feel like they kind of get stuck in a rough part of the game, they kind of go in panic gank mode. They feel like they have to make the play right now. Trick is not one of those players. He usually plays around farm himself and then goes for a later play.
Very few mistakes in the end from G2. But either way, let's head over to the analyst desk for a closer look at how that